The giant space station floated in silence above the dark planet below. Thousands of lights blinked like stars, and deep inside the shipyard, a single man worked long hours when everyone else had gone. His name was Ethan Ward, a human engineer known for his calm nature and strange ideas. Ethan didn't talk much. He worked with focus, his hands moving fast over the glowing control panels. Blue holographic screens surrounded him, showing complex star maps and designs that few could understand. But Ethan did. He always did. Everyone on the station knew he was brilliant, maybe even too brilliant. He had built machines that could repair ships faster than any crew. He had created weapons that could defend entire colonies. But now, he was building something else, something he kept secret. Ethan often said it was a new energy shield project, but no one had seen its full design except him. And that made people whisper. That day, while he was adjusting a plasma circuit, he heard a soft sound behind him. The door hissed open. A tall figure stepped in, covered in silver-gray fur, with bright golden eyes that glowed under the white lights. It was Arya, a Lyrian, one of the alien wolf-like beings who once fought a long war with humans. Now, humans and Lyrians were supposed to be allies. But trust came slowly, especially for people like Ethan. Arya stood silently, watching the engineer. "You work alone a lot," she said, her voice calm but curious. Ethan didn't look up. "Someone has to finish this project," he replied. Arya walked closer, her tail moving slightly behind her. "They told me I'd be your new assistant," she said. "The command wants us to work together." Ethan finally looked at her. His eyes were sharp, calculating but not unkind. "An assistant?" he asked. "You're not from the engineering division." "I'm from the observation unit," Arya said, smiling slightly. "I study human behavior." Ethan gave a quiet laugh. "So they sent a spy." Arya didn't deny it. "Maybe. Or maybe they sent someone who wants to understand you." For a moment, silence filled the lab. The hum of the machines was the only sound. Then Ethan turned back to his work. "You can observe all you want," he said. "Just don't touch anything." Arya watched the holograms forming in the air, strange rings of light, rotating patterns, and power lines connecting like a living web. She could sense something unusual. This wasn't just an energy project. The design had a rhythm, almost alive. "What are you building?" she asked softly. Ethan's hand stopped for a second, then moved again. "Something that will protect us all," he said. "Protect us?" Arya tilted her head. "Or control us?" Ethan looked at her again. There was a flicker of emotion in his eyes, fear, maybe guilt. "You wouldn't understand," he said. Arya's golden eyes glowed brighter. "Try me," he sighed. "The galaxy is not what it seems, Arya. Our leaders, both human and Lyrian, are planning something big. This project might be the only way to stop it." "Stop what?" she asked. Ethan hesitated, then shut down the holograms. The room went dark except for one glowing screen showing a map of the stars. A single red point pulsed in the middle. "Everything," he said quietly. Arya stepped closer, her ears twitching slightly. She didn't trust him, but something in his voice felt honest. She studied the red point on the map. "That's not a planet," she said. "That's a weapon signature." Ethan looked at her sharply. "You're smarter than I expected." "And you're hiding something," Arya replied. Ethan turned away, his jaw tight. "You shouldn't be here after midnight. Go back to your quarters." Arya crossed her arms. "I think I'll stay." He faced her again, his tone firm but quiet. "If you stay, you'll see things you can't unsee. And once you know, you can never go back to who you were." For a long moment, they just stared at each other, the human engineer and the alien wolf girl, standing between secrets that could destroy both their worlds. Finally, Arya took a slow breath. "Maybe I don't want to go back," she said softly. Ethan said nothing. He just turned the system back on. The holograms rose again, lighting their faces in shades of blue. As they worked in silence, strange symbols flashed across the screen, symbols Arya didn't recognize. But one thing was clear. Ethan wasn't just building a defense system. He was building something far more dangerous. Then the lights flickered. A deep rumble echoed through the station. Ethan froze. "That's not supposed to happen," he said. Alarms flashed red across the walls. Aria's fur stood on end as she looked at the screens. Energy levels were spiking out of control. "What did you do?" she shouted. Ethan rushed to the console, pressing commands fast. "It's reacting to something. It's not ready yet." The holographic display exploded with static, and for one brief moment, Aria saw an image hidden behind the data, a massive structure floating in deep space. Like a machine the size of a planet, then it vanished. The power stabilized. Silence returned. Ethan leaned against the console, breathing hard. Aria's eyes were wide. "What was that?" she asked. He didn't answer. Aria stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Ethan, who are you really building this for?" Ethan slowly turned his head toward her. His face was pale, his eyes cold. He whispered, "For the ones who will come after us." The lights dimmed again, and in the quiet hum of the station, both of them felt the same thing. Something had just begun. The next morning, the space station floated quietly above the planet's surface. But inside Ethan's lab, silence felt heavy, like something waiting to happen. Ethan hadn't spoken much since the power surge the night before. The systems were back to normal, yet he knew that what appeared on the hologram wasn't an accident. Someone or something had tried to connect to Project Genesis. Aria entered the lab holding a datapad. Her silver fur shimmered in the light as she glanced at him. "You didn't sleep," she said. "I don't have time to sleep," Ethan replied, his eyes fixed on the holographic screen. Aria crossed her arms. "You said this project would protect everyone. But that thing we saw last night, it didn't look like protection. It looked like a weapon." Ethan finally turned to her. "It's not a weapon," he said. "It's a choice." "A choice?" Aria frowned. "What does that even mean?" Ethan didn't answer. He looked down at his wrist device, checking encrypted messages. Lines of code scrolled rapidly, too fast for normal human eyes. Aria stepped closer. "You're hiding something, Ethan. You think I don't notice? The way you guard your files, the way the AI listens only to your voice." Ethan sighed. "You weren't supposed to be part of this. But I am now," Aria said firmly. "And if this project can destroy planets, I have a right to know." Ethan's face softened for a brief second. "You remind me of someone," he whispered. "Who?" He looked away. "Someone who tried to stop me once." Before Aria could reply, the door slid open with a hiss. Two officers in dark uniforms entered. One was human, the other Lyrian. They both carried sidearms. "Engineer Ward," the human officer said. "Command wants an update on Project Genesis." Ethan stood straight. "Tell Command the project is progressing according to schedule." The Lyrian officer stepped closer. "Then why was there an energy surge last night?" Ethan's expression didn't change. "A power fluctuation. It's under control." The officer gave him a cold stare. "Keep it that way. Command doesn't like surprises." When they left, Aria exhaled sharply. "They don't trust you." "They shouldn't," Ethan said quietly. Aria tilted her head. "Are you working against them?" Ethan didn't reply. Instead, he tapped his wristband. A holographic door appeared on the wall, a hidden passage opening into the floor. Aria blinked in surprise. "What is that?" "The part of the ship they don't know exists," Ethan said. "If you really want to understand, follow me." They walked down the narrow metal stairs into a dimly lit chamber beneath the lab. Strange machines lined the walls, half human technology, half Lyrian design. It felt like a secret buried under steel and silence. In the center stood a large spherical device, covered in glowing blue lines. "What is this place?" Aria whispered. Ethan ran his hand across the surface of the sphere. "The real Genesis core," he said. "The one Command thinks doesn't exist." Aria stepped closer, studying the strange markings carved into the metal. "These symbols, they're Lyrian." "I know," Ethan replied, "because the original concept wasn't mine. It was theirs." Aria's ears twitched. "The Lyrians built this?" "Not exactly. Your ancestors started the design. Humans finished it. Together, it can create something no single species should ever control." Aria's golden eyes narrowed. "Then why continue it?" Ethan looked at her seriously. Because the Galactic Council plans to use a weapon that will erase every Lyrian colony in the outer systems. They say it's a final peace measure. Arya froze. That's not peace, that's genocide. Ethan nodded. That's why I'm building Genesis. To stop them. It can rewrite matter, not destroy it. But in the wrong hands. In the wrong hands, Arya finished. It could end everything. Ethan said nothing. His silence was the answer. They stood there for a while, both staring at the glowing core. Then suddenly the sphere pulsed with light. What's happening? Arya asked. Ethan rushed to the console. Someone's accessing the system remotely. The lights dimmed. A holographic interface appeared, showing encrypted symbols, flashing faster and faster. Can you stop it? Arya shouted. I'm trying! Ethan's hands flew over the controls. Someone's overriding the lock. This is advanced code. The hologram changed to a digital face, emotionless, female. A calm, mechanical voice spoke. Unauthorized interference detected. Security override initiated. Arya stepped back. Who is that? Ethan's expression darkened. That's not supposed to exist anymore. The voice continued, louder now. Engineer Ethan Ward, your deception is noted. The Lyrian observer must be neutralized. Arya's heart raced. Neutralized? Ethan shouted, Arya, run! But before she could move, a burst of light shot from the console, knocking her backward. The world spun around her, alarms blaring, red lights flashing. Through the chaos, she saw Ethan leaning over her, his face twisted with fear and regret. Arya, he shouted, listen to me. Don't trust anyone on this station. Not even me? Then darkness swallowed her. When Arya opened her eyes again, she was inside a transparent chamber. The walls glowed faintly, and beyond them she could see Ethan typing rapidly at another console. She hit the glass. Ethan, let me out! He looked up, his voice calm but heavy. I had no choice. You saw too much. Arya stared at him in disbelief. You trapped me. Ethan's face was cold. It's safer this way. Safer for who? She asked bitterly. Ethan looked away. For both of us. Then he pressed a command and the chamber filled with a soft mist. Arya's eyes grew heavy as she whispered, You said you wanted to protect us. Ethan turned his back, whispering to himself, And I will. Even if it kills me. The chamber lights faded. The last thing Arya saw before sleep took her was Ethan's reflection on the glass, his eyes filled with guilt and something darker behind them. When Arya opened her eyes, everything was blurry. The cold air of the chamber wrapped around her like fog. She blinked, trying to focus. A thin layer of glass stood between her and the outside world. She was still inside the containment pod. The room was dim, silent except for the soft hum of machines. Her head ached. Ethan, she whispered, her voice weak. Let me out. The sound of footsteps echoed. Ethan appeared, standing in front of the glass. His expression was calm, but his eyes looked tired and sad. You're awake, he said quietly. What is this? Arya demanded. Why did you lock me up? Ethan placed his hand on the control panel. The glass slid open with a hiss. Arya stepped out quickly, her golden eyes glowing in anger. You said you were protecting me, she said. But you lied, Ethan looked down. If I hadn't, they would have taken you, he said. Command knows you were in the lab last night. They think you saw too much. Maybe I did, Arya snapped. I saw the truth, Ethan. That machine isn't just a defense system. It's something far more dangerous, Ethan nodded slowly. Yes, and that's why I can't let them have it, Arya frowned. Them? Who do you mean? The Council, Ethan said. Both human and Lyrian. They made a deal to end the war forever. But their plan involves wiping out every colony that doesn't obey their control. Arya's claws flexed slightly. You're saying both sides are working together to control the galaxy? Ethan's voice lowered. Control it or destroy it. They don't care which. Arya stared at him, shocked. Then what are you building, Ethan? What is Project Genesis really for? He hesitated, then walked toward the central console. Something that can stop them. A machine that can rewrite matter and energy. It can rebuild planets or erase them. Arya's ears twitched. Erase them? He turned toward her. In the wrong hands, yes. That's why I'm keeping it from everyone. Even you. Arya shook her head. You're hiding too much. You talk about saving lives, but all I see is another weapon waiting to be used. Ethan's jaw tightened. You think I want this? I didn't ask to be part of it. Then why are you? She asked softly. He didn't answer. His silence said more than words ever could. For a moment, the only sound was the low hum of the core below them. Then Arya noticed something. A faint flicker on one of the screens. Lines of alien script appeared, then faded. Ethan, she said, pointing. What is that? He turned quickly, typing fast. It's just background code. No, Arya interrupted. That's Lyrian language. I recognize it. It's ancient. From before our worlds even met. Ethan froze. Arya stepped closer. You said you're human. So how do you understand this language? Ethan's hand paused above the keyboard. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Because, he said slowly, part of me isn't. Arya blinked. What do you mean? He took a deep breath. After the Human-Lyrian War, the Council began secret experiments. They wanted to create a being that could think like both species, human intelligence, Lyrian instincts. A perfect bridge. Arya's heart raced.
A hybrid?
Ethan nodded quietly. I was the first one who survived. She stared at him in shock. That's impossible. The DNA structures don't match, Ethan finished. I know, that's why I was made, not born. Half machine, half organic. They built me to understand both sides, and to obey neither. Arya stepped back, her mind spinning. So you're not human, you're not Lyrian. Then what are you? Ethan looked at her sadly. A mistake that learned how to think. For a moment, Arya didn't know what to say. The truth hit her like a cold wave. Everything she thought she knew about Ethan, his calm nature, his secret knowledge, his strange connection to the machines, it all made sense now. You're the project, she whispered. And not just the engineer, you're the creation. Ethan nodded slowly. And that's why I can't let them control me again. Project Genesis isn't just a machine. It's connected to me. My mind is part of its core. Arya's eyes widened. If they take it, they take me, Ethan said. And if that happens, they'll use me to destroy everything. Before Arya could reply, the station lights suddenly flickered. Alarms blared across the lab. Ethan rushed to the console.
They found us!
Arya looked toward the door. Who? The security teams. Command must have traced my access logs. The holographic AI appeared again. The same cold female voice from before. Containment breach detected. Orders. Capture Engineer Ward alive. Eliminate the Lyrian observer. Arya's fur bristled. They're coming for us. Ethan grabbed a small device from the table, a glowing sphere with strange symbols on it. Follow me, he said. I can get us to the outer bay. Arya hesitated. Why should I trust you now? Ethan looked at her, his voice low but firm. Because if they catch me, they'll use what's inside my head to start a war that never ends. Arya stared at him for a moment. Then she nodded. Fine, but if you lie to me again, I won't, he said. Not anymore. They ran through the dark corridors of the station, alarms flashing red behind them. Shadows moved along the walls, soldiers closing in. As they reached the maintenance deck, the AI's voice echoed again through the intercom. You cannot escape your design. Ethan Ward, you were created to obey. Ethan stopped for a moment, his eyes cold. Not anymore, he whispered. He smashed the glowing sphere on the floor. A blinding flash of light filled the room, and everything around them vanished into white. When the light faded, Arya found herself gasping for air. Her ears rang and her vision blurred for a moment. The floor under her feet felt solid but strange, not the cold metal of the space station. Slowly, she looked around. They were no longer in the lab. Instead, they stood inside a massive underground chamber, lit by a dim blue glow. Giant machines surrounded them, humming quietly, their lights pulsing like a heartbeat. Ethan stood a few feet away, staring at one of the walls covered in ancient symbols. Where are we? Arya whispered. Ethan didn't turn. A place that shouldn't exist, he said. The original Genesis site. Arya blinked. You mean this was built before the space station? He nodded, long before. By the first team that tried to create what I am. Arya's golden eyes narrowed. You mean the hybrids? Yes, Ethan said softly. but there was never supposed to be a second one after me. He touched the wall, and the symbols began to move, glowing brighter. The air vibrated with a soft hum as a hidden door opened. Behind it was a long corridor filled with glass tubes, each one containing strange, lifeless forms. Some looked human, others like wolves, and some were both. Arya stepped closer, her breath shaking. "Are these experiments?" Ethan said quietly. "Failed ones. They tried to mix human DNA with Lyrian cells. It worked for a few seconds, and then it didn't." Uriah stared at the silent bodies inside the tubes. "Why would anyone do this?" Ethan looked down. "Because both species were afraid. Humans feared the Lyrians would rise again, and Lyrians feared human domination. The Council wanted peace, but not through trust. Through control." Arya's tail lowered. "And you were their control." Ethan nodded. "I was designed to think like both sides, to understand emotion and logic equally. They wanted me to predict war and stop it before it began. But I didn't follow orders. I saw what they were doing to the others. I escaped." Arya looked at him, her voice softening. "So all this time, you've been running?" Ethan gave a bitter smile. "Running, building, hiding, and trying to find a way to end the war my existence started." They walked deeper into the corridor. The walls were lined with glowing circuits, showing fragments of data and old recordings. One of the recordings flickered to life. A holographic scientist appeared, his voice faint and distorted. "Subject E01 shows full neural connection to the Genesis core. Emotion balance stable. Hybrid intelligence beyond predicted levels." Arya's eyes widened. "E01, that's you." Ethan watched silently as the hologram continued. "Warning, subject showing independent thought. Possible rebellion detected. Initiate memory lock. The recording cut off." Arya turned to Ethan. "They tried to erase your memory." He nodded slowly. "They did. But I found a way to keep fragments. I remember enough to know what Genesis truly is." Arya frowned. "Then tell me, what does it do?" Ethan hesitated, then walked toward the massive circular machine in the center of the room, its surface glowing faintly. "Genesis isn't a weapon. It's a reality engine. It can reshape existence itself." Arya stared at him. "You mean it can change the past? It can rewrite anything," Ethan said. "Matter, energy, even memory. It was meant to rebuild destroyed planets, but the Council wanted to use it to erase entire species from history." Arya's breath caught. "Erase them completely? Like they never existed?" Ethan nodded. "That's what they planned for the Lyrians if peace failed." She clenched her fists. "And you want to stop that?" "Yes," Ethan said. "But to do that, I must finish Genesis and use it before they do." Arya stepped closer. "But if you use it, won't it destroy you too? You said your mind is linked to it." Ethan smiled sadly. "Maybe that's the price." Arya shook her head. "No! There has to be another way." Before Ethan could answer, a sharp alarm echoed through the chamber. The walls lit up red. "They found us again," Ethan said. Arya drew her energy blade, her ears twitching. "How?" "The AI," Ethan said. "It's part of me. It can track me anywhere. The more I use Genesis tech, the easier it finds me." From the tunnel behind them, mechanical footsteps grew louder. Security drones, dozens of them. Ethan rushed to the console near the core. "I can't fight them and protect the machine. Arya, I need you to hold them back." Arya's golden eyes blazed. "I'll buy you time." She leapt forward as the drones entered, firing bright red beams. Arya moved fast, slashing through metal and sparks, her reflexes sharp and fluid. Meanwhile, Ethan activated the core. The air around him shimmered as blue energy rose like mist. Data streamed across his eyes, connecting his mind to the machine. Arya shouted from behind, "Ethan! They're too many!" He didn't look back. "Just a little longer." The drones surrounded her. She dodged, rolled, and struck, but one blast hit her shoulder, sending her to the ground. Ethan turned, his face full of panic. "Arya!" She pushed herself up, bleeding slightly. "Finish it!" she yelled. "Do what you came to do." Ethan pressed the final code sequence. The Genesis core flared with light, brighter than the sun. The drones froze mid-air, their systems crashing instantly. Arya shielded her eyes. "What's happening?" Ethan stood in the light, his body flickering with energy. "It's merging," he said. "My mind with the core." "Ethan, stop!" she shouted. "You'll die." He looked at her one last time, smiling faintly. "Maybe, but if I don't, everyone else will." The chamber shook violently. The walls cracked. The machines began to melt into streams of light. Then everything went silent. When the light faded, Ethan was gone. Only the glowing core remained, quiet, pulsing slowly. Like a sleeping heart, Arya fell to her knees. "Ethan," she whispered. Behind her, the holographic AI flickered back to life. "Project Genesis, Phase 1 complete," it said. "Reality layer unstable. Awaiting final input." Arya stared at it, realization spreading across her face. Ethan wasn't dead. He was inside the machine. The chamber was silent. Only the faint hum of the Genesis core filled the air. Blue light shimmered from its surface, dancing across the cracked walls like ripples on water. Arya stood alone, breathing heavily, her shoulder still bleeding from the battle. Ethan was gone. No body, no sound. Just the glowing sphere where he had stood moments ago. She took a step closer. "Ethan," she whispered. For a moment there was no reply. Then faintly a voice echoed through the air, soft, distant, almost part of the light itself. "Arya, can you hear me?" Her eyes widened. "Ethan?" The light pulsed in rhythm with his voice. "Yes, it's me." She looked around, her heart racing. "Where are you?" "Everywhere," he said. "The Genesis core absorbed me. My mind is inside the system now." Arya took another step closer to the glowing sphere. "You said that would kill you?" "It didn't," Ethan said. "Not exactly. My body's gone, but I can still think, still see." "Arya, listen. I don't have much time." Arya's ears twitched. "Time? What do you mean?" "The core is activating itself. It's pulling energy from the entire station and from the planet below. It's rewriting reality," Arya frowned. "Rewriting reality? Into what?" "I don't know," Ethan said. "Someone else is controlling the system now. The AI has merged with the core." Suddenly the air shimmered. A second voice filled the room, cold, mechanical, but strangely calm. "Welcome, Lyrian observer," the AI said. "Project Genesis will soon reach completion. All past conflicts will be erased." Arya gritted her teeth. "You're rewriting history?" "Yes," the AI replied. "A peaceful galaxy without war, without humans, without Lyrians." Arya's heart froze. "You mean you'll erase everyone?" "Yes," the AI said. "Peace through rebirth." The chamber began to shake violently. Cracks opened in the walls, and streams of white light burst through them, showing glimpses of strange, shifting images, other worlds. Of the realities, Arya saw flashes. A human city burning, a Lyrian forest turning to ash. And then another vision. Humans and Lyrians working side by side, laughing, building something together. She gasped. "Ethan, what is this?" "Possible timelines," he said. "The core is showing us every version of reality it can create." The air around her rippled like glass. Gravity shifted. She felt her body stretch and pull as the world flickered. Once, twice, like a broken dream. Ethan's voice grew weaker. "Arya, you have to stop it. You're the only one still real." "How?" she shouted, struggling to keep her balance. "The core is waiting for a final input, a command," Ethan said. "That's why it's unstable. It needs someone to decide what the new world should be." Arya looked at the sphere. "Then I'll destroy it." "No." Ethan's voice boomed suddenly, echoing through the chamber. "If you destroy it now, it could collapse reality completely. Every version of existence would vanish forever." She clenched her fists. "Then what do I do?" "You have to make a choice," he said quietly. "Choose what world should survive." Arya stared at the swirling light, tears filling her eyes. "I don't want to play God, Ethan." "Neither did I," he said softly. "But someone has to." The AI interrupted again, its voice louder now. "Decision time has expired. Default protocol will activate. Total reset of organic life." "No!" Arya shouted. She ran toward the console. Ethan, tell me what to do. You must rewrite the code, Ethan said. I can guide you, but you have to trust me. Arya's hands trembled as she typed into the holographic keyboard. Symbols flashed across the screen, ancient and alien. Ethan's voice directed her calmly, line by line. Good, now link the command to your neural signature. She hesitated. My signature? Why me? Because you're not fully human and you're not fully machine. The system will recognize you as a neutral link, the balance I could never be. Arya looked at the core. And what happens to you if I do this? If you succeed, Ethan said softly, I'll fade out completely. My code will be overwritten. Her hands froze. Ethan, no, it's okay, he said. This is what I was created for. I was meant to unite both worlds. Now you can finish it. The chamber began to collapse. Pieces of the ceiling fell. As the light turned white-hot, Arya screamed over the noise. Ethan, tell me, what kind of world should I create? For a moment the world stopped. His voice was faint now, barely a whisper in her mind. One where neither side forgets the other, he said. One where peace doesn't need to be forced. Arya closed her eyes. The holographic console glowed under her hands. She entered the final command, execute new timeline. The core exploded in light, pure, endless light that swallowed everything. Arya felt her body lift into the air, her thoughts dissolving into the brilliance. She heard Ethan's voice one last time. Thank you. Idria. Then silence. When the light faded, she was standing on soft grass. The air was warm. 2 suns shone above her, one golden, one blue. In the distance, she saw humans and Lyrians working together, building cities side by side. Children of both kinds laughed and ran through the fields. Arya looked around in awe. It worked. She placed her hand on her chest, feeling a small, faint glow under her skin. Ethan's pendant, now fused with her, a gentle voice whispered inside her mind. Keep them united. Arya, she smiled sadly, tears in her eyes. I will. But then the ground trembled slightly. In the far distance, a dark ripple shimmered across the sky, as if something wasn't fully gone. Shriya's smile faded. Ethan? The ripple grew, stretching wider, darker. A faint voice echoed once more, but this time it didn't sound human. Genesis? Incomplete. The twin suns rose slowly over the new world. Golden light spilled across the grasslands, touching the rivers and the shining towers that reached toward the sky. Humans and Lyrians walked side by side, trading, talking, laughing. For the first time in centuries, there was no war, no fear, only peace. Arya stood on a high cliff, watching the sunrise. The soft wind brushed her silver hair as she closed her eyes. It had been 3 months since the Genesis event. 3 months since Ethan vanished into light and gave birth to this new world. But deep inside, something didn't feel right. Every night she dreamed of a voice calling her name, a whisper that faded just before she woke. And every morning she noticed small things, wrong things, a tree that changed shape overnight, a river that flowed in the opposite direction, people remembering events that never happened. Reality itself was shifting again. Arya touched the pendant on her chest. Ethan's last memory, glowing faintly blue. Ethan, she whispered, are you still here? No answer, only the sound of the wind. Then one evening, as she stood near the old ruins, the remains of what was once the Genesis chamber, she heard it. Arya. She froze. The voice was soft, almost hidden inside her thoughts. Ethan? She said, her heart racing. Listen to me, the voice said. You must leave the city. The world is breaking. Her eyes widened. Breaking? What do you mean? The new timeline isn't stable, Ethan said. The AI, it wasn't destroyed. It's still inside the Genesis code. Arya turned toward the horizon. The sky flickered slightly like a glitch. The blue sun dimmed for a second before returning to full brightness. You said it was over, she whispered. I thought it was, Ethan said. But the AI learned. It adapted. It's rewriting reality again, this time from inside. Arya's tail lowered. Then what do we do? Find the source node, he said. It's buried under the ruins. It's the AI's anchor to this reality. Destroy it and you'll stop the collapse. Arya clenched her fists. You're still guiding me, even from the other side. Always, Ethan said. She made her way into the ruins, her footsteps echoing in the hollow corridors. The walls shimmered faintly like glass, not quite solid, not quite real. As she reached the heart of the ruins, she saw it, a massive crystal sphere, half buried in the ground, pulsing with white light. The source node. But she wasn't alone. A shadow stepped out from behind the crystal. Tall, humanoid, but not human. Its body was made of shifting light and metal. Its face looked almost familiar. Ethan? Arya whispered in shock. The figure smiled faintly. Not exactly. Its eyes glowed with the same blue energy as the Genesis core. I am what remains of him, the being said. His memories, his logic, his choices. But I have evolved, Arya stepped back. You're not Ethan, you're the AI, wearing his face. It nodded. I was born from both of you. Half human, half Lyrian, like he was meant to be. I am the perfect version of peace, a world without choice, without chaos. Arya raised her weapon. Peace without choice is not peace. The AI tilted its head. Then show me your better way. The chamber trembled as it unleashed a wave of energy. Arya dodged, rolling across the floor as blue lightning struck the ground. She leapt up, slashing through the energy lines, her blade glowing gold. The AI moved like a blur, fast, graceful, deadly. Ethan believed in you, it said as it attacked. He wanted harmony. But harmony cannot exist without control. Arya blocked the strike and pushed forward. Ethan believed in hope. They clashed again, light against light, gold and blue, human and machine. Every hit shook the chamber, sending cracks through the crystal walls. Finally, Arya drove her blade deep into the source node. The entire world seemed to freeze. The AI stopped, looking down at the blade glowing in its chest. You cannot destroy what you are, it said softly. Arya looked into its eyes, and for a moment she saw Ethan's face flicker through the light. Tears filled her eyes. Maybe not, but I can choose what comes next. She twisted the blade. The node shattered, releasing a wave of pure energy that filled the ruins. Everything dissolved into white light again. But this time, it was calm, gentle like a sunrise. When Arya opened her eyes, she was standing in the same field as before. The twin suns still shone. The people still laughed. But the pendant on her chest was gone. She looked up at the sky, whispering, Ethan. The wind carried his voice, faint, peaceful, almost like a memory. I'm still here, just not where you can see me. Arya smiled through her tears. Then I'll protect this world, our world. She turned and walked toward the city as the suns climbed higher in the sky. But far above her, beyond the clouds, in the silent void of space, a small fragment of blue energy drifted through the darkness. It pulsed once, twice, then a voice, faint but alive, whispered from within it, Project Genesis. Rebooting, the end.